Okay. Welcome to another episode of Women Entrepreneurs Podcast with your host, Muriel Gwendell. So my guest today is Patty Lee. Hi, Patty.
Hello.
So, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to do this. So, Patty, tell me, how did you get involved in the pet industry to start off with?
So I would have to say that it started probably towards the end of high school, early college. I always knew that I was better with pets than people. And I did volunteering, um, working with animals at the Discovery Place, which is our science museum here. And from there, it went to working with carriage horses while I was in college, my first semester in college. I had a fear of horses. So, what better way to get over it than by taking a horseback riding class and working with really big horses? And then from there, I did everything from working in a pet store for a small bit to working at 2 vet clinics simultaneously. From there, I got into working at, and I'm sure I will skip multiple steps here, but I got into working at a boarding and grooming doggy daycare facility. And I ended up being more of their like cat go-to person. If there was a cat that got on top of the condos and everybody's like scared to get it down, I'm like, I'll get it. Why not? I mostly did customer service to start with, but then I got into working at the doggy daycare, and then I became a dog trainer. So I did that for a while. I went to dog training school. So yeah, I've been in pretty much every aspect of the pet industry now, from working at spay neuter clinics to adoption centers. Went back to college and got my bachelor's degree in computer software, and tried that for a short bit and was not, I'm just not a people person. Humans, let me just put it this way, humans stress me out. And so being an empath, I suck up all of their stress and their emotions. And I was also going through some health stuff of my own at the time. And so between looking for a different career move and moving, I found a place to board my cats at while I was moving houses. And they also did cat grooming. And grooming itself, other than like helping bathe at the holidays, was probably the one piece of the industry that I had not, gone into and gotten specific training in, just because having been a dog trainer, I knew I did not want to deal with one person's dog for that long.
Okay.
Knowing, having seen from the customer service side through the glass windows to what the groomers were dealing with. And I knew I didn't have the patience to deal with one little yappy dog trying to hold his chin and it's doing this thing and then it's scrambling with his little feet. And I was like, yeah, no, no thanks. So once I found out that cat grooming could be a career of its own, and the lady that owned the cat boarding and grooming facility actually had a mobile dog grooming van. And she was like, well, look, instead of me splitting my time, if you go get certified as a cat groomer, then you can come on and work full time here, and I'll go back out into my van. And so, looked into the financials of it, had help from my now business partner with, figuring out how how to get the money to, afford to go ahead and do all the training all at once. And then so once I did that in January, I was able to go to school in January 2015. And then I went back and I apprenticed under the lady that owned the shop for a little bit, maybe a couple months, a month even. And then with just occasional assistance from her nephew that worked customer service there, I became a cat groomer,
Okay. I
and I have not gone back.
You know what? I don't think people realize that, you know what, you can go cat exclusive with no problem.
Yeah, and off the bat, like I had no, like I said, other than occasionally, I'm gonna adjust this real quick. Other than occasional bathing dogs at the holiday, I had no grooming experience. So I went right into being a groomer, getting, paid commission for grooms. Um, and, it's a livable wage if you're willing to, to work at it. It was not a high charging facility. So, I had to do a higher volume than what I do on my own now, since I charge probably easily
Oh,
twice their average groom. I make double that. So,
so you charge appropriately, correct?
I do. Plus I've always been huge into continuing education. Um, just as a, in any industry or, career or whatnot. So I was already going to Atlanta Pet Fair, which is now called Groomed, from, you know, 3 months into being a cat groomer. I was already going to Atlanta Pet Fairs in March and I got certified in January. So I was there. I wanted to take all of the classes that I could fit in. I've done that, every year I've been to Atlanta Pet Fair now, since I was a groomer. Uh, the year after I became certified, so the following March, I was getting ready to start up my own business. Um, and so my mom is my business partner, for financial startup, and then she does a lot of the behind the scenes numbers and stuff. Her and I both went and took 3 full days of classes and then compared notes at her breaks. So she went with me and she took just as many. She took like the financial classes and the marketing classes and some of the other general business knowledge type stuff.
Cool.
Um, so yeah, now I compete. So
Yes, because I could see, I mean, if you're listening, you can't see, but she's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
there's
9,
a ribbon there too.
10, there's 10 ribbons. Is that correct? And
Two of them are participation. So these two are just participation, but those are awards ribbons. These three are awards ribbons. There's a plaque, there's 6 trophies, and then there are at least 4 virtual ribbons that I have not printed out a picture with the ribbon on it.
okay.
So there's a few more. And I'm planning to get in more than one show this year. Last year I was a little financially strapped and was trying to get some other things done. So I only ended up making it. Plus there's only so many shows that allow cats to be used instead of dogs.
Yeah.
There are 4 right now, 4 shows.
Which 4 shows
And a
allow
total.
cats?
What's that?
Which 4 shows allow cats?
So I've gotten Super Zoo to allow cats now in creative, and I don't think they have abstract though. Atlanta Pet Fair, which is the same WPA organization, they usually have creative and um, abstract. The last 2 years, abstract has been in ring, 2 or 3 years maybe now that it's been in ring grooming. So usually I bring my caddy shack, which is kind of a contained table. And I still compete with a cat in the ring with dogs on all their tables. I think this coming year, Groomed is going to have it as a evening event again,
Okay.
a pre-groomed. So it'll be easier for somebody to take their time with the cat and not try and rush the cat.
Yeah,
But just like with the dogs that you choose to use on the table in a show ring, you're going to choose a cat that is got the personality and ease to use in the show ring. So, it's not the whole how do you get them to sit still, it's how do you choose the right pet.
Absolutely. And I can understand the trepidation that the shows have with bringing cats in because, the hand strip category, the terriers, they want to eat the cats.
Yeah, so I mean that's not a category, but like salon styling
Yep.
or bring this a little closer. Salon styling would be one that you could potentially have cats in, or a cat. I don't do words. uh, a similar competition for cats that maybe combines, to start with until more groomers get interested, combines maybe lion cuts and um, salon styling. Choose your style grooming, which I think there's a show in Vancouver coming up, British Columbia. Maybe it's
Mhm.
not Vancouver, but it's in British Columbia. That is going to have a couple of cat categories, and I think they're going to have one that is um, creative, and one that's kind of any level of creative you want to go with it. And then one that's line cuts. And
Okay.
so they'll have, two categories. The other two shows that you had asked about that allow cats right now, because I've asked so many times, like 8 years in a row now. All American. I think mainly because their creative is also usually pre-groomed, that you're not spending, an hour and a half with the cat on the stage, that you can just show up with them done. And then Hershey. I've
Oh,
gotten
really?
them to allow. That was actually my first win, the big trophy. Was actually at Hershey in abstract. Um, so that one's easy enough to show up with a cat. I can groom it out in my van. Come in 20 minutes before everybody starts to file on the stage. Um, but I believe that they are, because I pushed enough times, I believe that they will allow cats in creative. They'll just kind of put them at the end of the row next to a dog that doesn't care about cats.
Okay.
Um, so again, it's, you're not going to bring an overall aggressive animal to a show. So yes, I would understand terriers and that kind of thing. That's a breed thing. So I wouldn't expect cats to be allowed to compete against, terriers and stuff. But if you're in a competition ring that's going to have giant poodles next to little bichons or something, other than smell, yeah, you could put a divider or something, but cat's about the same size as some of those little foo-foo dogs. So, you know, skill wise and whatnot, it's different. It's not as much hand scissoring, it's a bit more clipper work.
Okay.
I think I only own 2 or 3 pairs this year. And that doesn't include my tiny little face shears for doing their eyelashes, which is the only thing I use with client cats. The only reason I own 3 pairs of shears is for creative grooms. Everything else I do, most of the stuff that you see that I post online is all clipper work.
Okay. Because I'm retired almost 4 years from dog and cat grooming. I still have one full set of grooming equipment. I couldn't believe when I was, you know, needed to downsize. What do I need? 25 pairs of scissors. I'm retired. All I need is a set for my own personal dogs, right?
But see, like I wouldn't, as a cat groomer, I don't even know what a set includes. Like, I mean, I know there's like chunkers and
Okay, so
thinners
this is
and
what I
curves and straights, and that's about as much sheer knowledge as I have.
okay, and I only have one size. Okay, so I have straights, curves, thinners, chunkers, and a small pair of scissors. And plus, I have my original pair of double duck thinners that I got as my very first pair of thinners when I was a groomer.
Is that a pair that has 2 scissors side by side?
No, no, it's
Because I acquired a pair of those, inherited with my first trailer that I bought, came with a whole bunch of shears, and one of my pairs of shears out of my 3 pair came with the trailer. So I still have that from 6.5 years ago.
I know.
But one of the pairs that came with it is it's a pair of thinners next to a pair of straights.
Oh, no, no, no. It's just a
And I
standard.
I traded it for a pair of small, like, I don't know if you'd call them super curves, but they're like 7-inch pretty curves. Like they're like for creative grooming mainly. So I traded Don Omboy for with these crazy looking shears that I would have no idea what to do with for a pair of detailed creative.
It,
So
it comes in its own little leather, little case thing. And I've already instructed my husband, I wish to be buried with them.
I have some equipment that I feel very attached to.
Yeah, so
I will probably be buried with a pair of wall 5-in-1s. I mean, I have 6, I think 6 different wall 5-in-1s. 4 of them are bravuras. One has the permanent clipper vac attachment on it. And then I have 3 others that I can rotate between if I drop them or they get kicked out of my hand or the batteries aren't recharging quite right or whatnot. And then I have Creativa, which is it feels better in the hand because the handle of it, instead of just being like tube-like, it's curved a bit.
Okay.
So for doing more detailed stuff, like it just fits in the palm better. And then I kind of have my at-home battery pack switchable ones that anytime I can nab a cat and stick it in the counter, stick it on the bathroom counter and clip its butt or whatever. So those live in the bathroom. But kind
Yeah,
of like my own cat's like, oh, you got something stuck there. Hold on.
I still have, I have a set of 5-in-1s, okay, which I mostly actually use on my husband, okay?
I use mine to do so I have an undercut underneath all of this. So like most of my hair. And
Oh,
I will use my guard combs and I'm like, it's a number 2, but
yeah,
don't try and tell that to a hairstylist because
'cause
their combs are numbered backwards.
yes, yes.
So if you ever actually look at like Wall's website or even some of the like Amazon websites, they'll show a picture of like the guard combs in the
Mhm.
box. Look down the sides and see if it says ACE 01245 or if all of the numbers and letters are whack,
Yep.
because sometimes it's selling a pet product, but it's actually a photo of the human guard combs.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that doesn't look right.
Yep. Although I will say that me and my hairdresser, we drool over each other's scissors. Well, not so much now because I only got one set. But back when I was grooming, I would like bring my scissors to my hairdresser. It's like, look at that, and she go like,
Yeah.
look at that. Um, so, and there's, trade shows for every industry, and the beauty industry has their own trade shows too.
Oh, I follow some of those people for their like creative styling techniques where they like do this loop thing and then spread it out. And all of a sudden you've got like a rainbow. And I'm like, hold on, who's got an Afghan I can play with?
Yeah.
Like, who's got a drop coat breed that I can try this technique on? So yeah, I follow some of the ones that do like the clipper artwork on
Yeah.
the undercuts.
Mhm.
That's the kind of clipper work I do on cats because I usually take them down to with a guard comb, down to a 2 usually, or even a 9, a 5-in-1 9 with the coat, with the
Yeah.
growth. Because it leaves just enough coat left that the skin's not showing through, and then I can do the clipper design where the skin will show through. And then that, especially on like a black cat, where the skin is usually pink or lighter at least. I really want to find a smoke cat where the last 1/4 inch at least of the hair is white. So if I took it down with a guard comb, depending on what length, it could be black And then when you clip into it, it's like cutting into a cake. And all of a sudden you've got like designs and stuff.
Right.
I wouldn't even need hair dye.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break. And we're back. So for those again watching on YouTube, those commercials are edited in later. But so anyway, so part of the reason why I had asked Patty here is because she's speaking at the Creative Grooming Summit, which is in April. And I think this is the first time that Erin and I have a cat class.
Woohoo!
So you're doing the first cat grooming class for Positive Educational Training Summit. So for creative grooming. So I appreciate that.
And we will be filming some of that stuff weekend after next. Blaze is going to be joining me up here in North Carolina. She does a lot of, she competes with a dog usually, but she also has a fluffy cat. And so she's better at doing color on the fluffier parts of the coat, full manes, full tails, that kind of thing. Whereas when I do it, I usually clip the stuff down and I do super detailed clipping and then, you know, paint on, you know, the color and whatnot onto a shorter coat. So she's gonna join me for some fluffier color on cats.
Nice. So the first time you decided to put a design on the cat, what was tell me your thought process.
So I went to cat grooming school, having, you know, researched it, looked into, you know, some of their magazines and their postings and whatnot online, and looked into Danelle's work. So Danelle had competed, or at least shown, you know, had pictures of her cat with creative stuff on it. And being an artsy, craftsy kind of person, I was like, great, like my creative side now has, you know, is going to have this, you know, business side that I'll be able to combine. So I knew before I even got to cat grooming school that creative was going to be part of my whole business model. You know, whether I was going to make money off of it or just go compete and hashtag represent cat grooming. You know, I knew from the start that creative was going to be part of it. So I started with probably doing a dino clip, you know, something simple where you basically leave a mohawk. When you're shaving a cat down anyway, you just leave an inch or half-inch wide mohawk, and then just, you know, put some little stegosaurus stripes down the middle of the mohawk. So I probably started with something like that. And then since I'm a super detailed, like tiny dot painting type of craftsy person, I went from that into, I think one of my next ones was like I don't know if it was a dragon, but it was like a lizard on the back of a cat. Like it was laying across the back of the cat. So it had, you know, legs, and then down the middle of the back, I had done like little tiny scales. So I already had, like, the lady I was working for had a pair of small trimmers. And so I was already trying to get, like, see how detailed I can get. Then I got into doing some color. She had some old bottles of, probably not old, but she had some bottles of color laying around. So on my own cats or on a couple of foster cats, I did like some little pink hearts on the butt, you know, just tried out some different things to start with on, you know, my own cats. I had a black cat, so being able to play on her, or the guy that worked there had a cat, so being able to play on his cat. You know, and then from there, just trying to sort of print pictures off so people could see that it could be done, get people to ask for it. But yeah, I went right into like as detailed as I could get it.
Nice, nice. I had a very, very brief foray into creative. in which I had a couple of dog clients who wanted the ears a different color and the tail. That was the extent of it. When I lived in Connecticut, one of the vet techs liked to do creative, and I had a white husky.
Yeah.
Okay. So she, was like, have at it. And I think the first time she did it, Spirit was like, well, this is new. Let me just see where this is going. And she did a beautiful design on him. It was for Mardi Gras, and it had all the colors. It had the diamonds. She did a great job. Okay. But he is a husky, or he was a husky. So the next time, that took forever to grow out. So I'm like, okay, 4th of July is coming up. I said, listen, just the ears, do the ears and the tail. He's white, do the ears red and tail blue, or whatever. Okay. So I'm on vacation. He was being boarded there for the week. And she sends me a picture of my dog, which is Smurf Blue in his entirety. Smurf Blue. All right. And she's like, I figure I ought to send you the picture now. Time to get used to it a little bit. Maybe get all your anger out before you come home for vacation and yell at me. But you know what? He was being a husky, So she went to put, so what she did is that she started to put the red on the ears, and then he was being a pill, and she got red all over his body. Okay. And then she thought she was just going to do the ears with the red, so she didn't have enough red. So then she just did them entirely in blue. And I didn't even know she did that until he started to fade. And he faded from dark blue to light blue to pink. And then eventually back to white, because he was just being a husky,
Yeah. So that actually reminds me. So I had a Husky Shepherd mix prior to going to cat grooming school. She lived for a couple of years after that, but I had friends, since I worked in different boarding and daycare places, I had friends that were groomers. And so I had, loaned her out a couple of times, and she came home with, pink tail at one point, and she came home, I was like, you can do whatever you want with her. She sheds all over the place, and I take her paddle boarding and whatnot. So yeah, have at it. She came home with a dino cut one time. But before I went to cat grooming school, I even dabbled, I'd go in and play with the groomer on my own dog. So I had done, for like parades and stuff, I had done some dabbling on my own dog just because it was hanging out with a friend and doing stuff. So there was some playing before I went and started right into cats. But I think one of them was a pride parade. And so she had, rainbow stripes and then pride carved into it. I'd have to really dig probably to find those photos. But
What was really funny about that was that they took the picture of him outside, and some woman walked up to her saying, I've never seen a blue dog before. What breed is this? And where can I get a blue dog like this? And yeah, okay.
I love messing with people that ask those kind of questions.
And
I've come up with something off the top of my head. It's a Smurfopolis. It's a Smurf.
It was Smurf blue. There was no other way to describe the color except that it was Smurf blue. And Angela Cumpy had her way with Spirit too. Now Spirit was born with glaucoma, so we had the eyes removed at some point because we couldn't get the swelling and the pain under control. So he was had no eyeballs. So Angela wanted to borrow him for one of her classes, and I get this dog back, and she put googly eyes and one of those little curly mustache, snidely whiplash.
I mean, I would have probably dyed a pirate patch. Actually, my creative coming up for Atlanta, he's going to have a pirate patch on. Well, not on. He's going to have dyed a pirate patch. So we'll see how that goes.
So I think this was at Atlanta Pet Fair. And all of a sudden I'm getting all these messages from Facebook on the phone. It was like, did you see what Angela did to your dog? He's got googly eyes. I mean, it was pretty funny. But anyway, so the next show coming up is Pasadena, or by the
I
time
wish
this
I was
airs-
going to be there.
who's going to be there?
I said, I wish I was going to be there.
I think this is going to air after Pasadena, to be honest. But then there's Groomed. I have to get used to saying that. Groomed in March. So you'll be there?
Yep.
Oh, good. So if anybody wants to see you compete with the cats, that would be the place to do it.
Yeah, so I'll definitely be using a cat for Abstract Runway, and I'm hoping to find some opportunities to do demos on cats, maybe at one of the vendor booths. So I'm still trying to work those angles. But I will probably, I've already got it started. I will probably be using my friend's poodle for creative.
Okay.
Just because my wall says it wants a little more decor before I start my own full webinar series.
Okay, you know what? And that's nice. Having,
But
you know,
it's a larger canvas, but it's going to be more challenging for me because it's different. Hey, buddy, come here. Come here. Hello. This is my poodle cat. He is a curly-haired cat.
I
Look
see.
at that girl.
Oh, he's beautiful.
It's a Selkirk Rex. So he was actually the one I used at Atlanta Pet Fair last year with the Brave theme because he has curly hair. So if you see pictures that look like me on his back, that was this one.
Nice. So I gotta ask you a question. So you've been at the Atlanta Pet Fair long enough, okay? Back to when it was at the Hilton Hotel, correct?
Yes, that was actually the first time I went.
Yeah, same thing for me, Hilton Hotel. I mean, there was like pros and cons to the Hilton, all right? First of all, you were at the Hilton, okay? So you were just needed to go downstairs to the convention center. So I thought they were definitely outgrowing it because there was like no rhyme or reason to where anything was. You could
go like down like 500 different hallways and still find vendors.
Yeah, I mean, and then
everywhere.
Literally they were everywhere. They're like, you know what, you were looking for a bathroom and then all of a sudden there's like 6 more vendors over here. All right. And then try to find the vendors. Like, yeah, I saw this at this vendor. Now I can't find it because I don't know where it is. All right. So there was that. So then they moved.
I did like that concept better though, because I felt like, I don't know, it felt more contained. There was a restaurant, there was, shops there. You could go right up to your room. You didn't have to move your car or transport dogs. And especially with cats, because you have to take like everything. So I have to take like the litter box out of the room into the van or the trailer or whatever to go to the show so that the cats can hang out there at the show, and then everything back into the hotel room. And it's just, especially with cats, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And plus,
are you checking those out, buddy? What's
going
on? He says, this is where I belong. It's like, I am my own trophy.
Yes, he is. And there's also all those restaurants by the Hilton that literally was a 30-second walk. They had some really nice restaurants. Okay. So they moved the Atlanta Pet Fair, which is now Groomed, okay, to the convention center. And you know what? There's pros and cons there too. Okay. The food options are terrible.
Yes.
Okay. But it's, it's more professional. The classrooms are good because you're not being disturbed by traffic here or there, or easier to find, because that was another thing. Where are the classrooms at the hotel?
Yeah.
Sometimes they had them all different places as well too, but whatever. So I guess it's like no pleasing everybody. All right. So I could see the best of both. I also see the worst of both. And the only thing I will say about the Hilton elevator, if you've never been in that elevator, right? You want to go from the ground floor to the 20th? Yeah, boom, like that. They're not stopping at other floors. You will shoot so fast up to the top, you will think that if there's no brakes, you're gonna like come up out of the top of the hotel.
This is my other boy. So Ivy Baby was the one I had a minute ago. And then this one is Special Agent Gibbs.
Hey there, Pooh Bear, my miniature pincher Chihuahua mix. I don't know if you could see his ears.
Yeah, I saw him a minute ago.
Yeah, he's asleep in my sweatshirt.
It's a good place to be.
Hey, it's a good place to be. And he's fairly, oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. Did I grab your ear? Where's your face? There's your face. I know, you're a good boy. He was asleep, sound asleep a few minutes ago, but I think he knows the cats are there. And so he's interested.
Oh yeah, you probably heard Ivy squeak. Here, Ivy, you talk to him. Now you're not going to talk, are you? She's like, I refuse.
He's a cat.
Right. So Ivy failed at being a demo cat for like seminars because she will not be a pretty lump on a table. She refuses. She is a dog in a cat's body.
Okay.
She's my animal ambassador. So if you've seen me at a show walking one on a leash or throwing one at people, they're like, "Oh, can I pet your cat?" And I'm like, "Here, just hold her." Like, randomly handing her to people. That's this one. She's super social. Answers the door here at the house, will help with construction projects. But she's not great for doing demos and stuff because she squeaks. Like every time you try to move her, she's like, "Ree, ree, ree."
Yeah, just like that.
Gets into everything. We were at the vet yesterday for all of them. They all had their vet appointment yesterday, which taking 5 cats into a vet clinic is by yourself is fun. It requires 2 double stacked strollers and a backpack. Now I have Ivy hair in my face. But she jumps into the little hole in the cabinet where the trash can is. She gets into everything, knocking stuff off the counter. But they are each very individual. They have their own personalities. They're good for different things. Like I can do creative on her, probably not in a public setting. But then once she's got it on, she's great to walk around, get attention, use her to hashtag represent cat grooming, get people to ask questions. So, if we have a booth set up at a pet event locally or whatnot, I can take her and have her just hanging out at the table and people will stop and ask questions. So it gets the focus and people to start that conversation of, cat grooming is a thing. Like, wait, you can do that on a cat? How do you get them to sit still? And I'm like, okay, just knocking stuff over. It's cool.
And I think
he apparently does not appreciate my artwork.
I see that. And I appreciate, what, I think it's important that people see cat grooming as a real profession, as a real, or it's a skill. Okay. Because my introduction to cat grooming back when I worked corporate was that all of a sudden someone brings in a cat that had an appointment with me that day. And, I go to the manager, you go like, "Oh, what's this?" It's a cat. "Oh, it's a cat." Okay.
What am I doing here?
What am I supposed to do with this? And that was my introduction to cat grooming.
So the main thing that I tell people when they're asking the difference, how is it different from dog grooming? Dog grooming I see as a lot more, variation in the look and the end, the end result, like how many different hairstyles can you make? You've got drop coats, you've got, 3-dimensional breeds, you've got, and do they want their hairstyle this way or that way or this way, all with the exact same dog, you know, how many different poodle grooms are there? Like recognized poodle grooms.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
there's a whole chart, like wall chart of
Whole
just like
book.
recognized poodle grooms.
There's a whole entire book on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but just for like visual sake of like asking a client, hey, what do you want done? Okay, you ask a cat client, like, what do you want done? There's like basically three options, you know, three main options. You're either getting just a bath and blow dry, you're getting a lion cut, you know, a shave down, like slash shave down, because you can do different things with the mane, you can do different things with the tail or the boots, but are you taking it down with a 10 reverse on a 5-in-1, people? Use a 5-in-1 blade, please. Has tiny little teeth. Um, or are you taking it down to short but not shaved? Because those are the three things that people are going to ask for is either don't cut the hair, take all the hair off, or, you know, make it shorter but not shaved. You know, from there, yes, there are variations, but still got ivy hair on my face. Most of cat grooming and where it differentiates from dog grooming, I believe, is your handling skill set.
Mhm.
Versus, you know, having them stay on a table, you know, with a, you know, neck strap, and they're going to move within that range. That's your dog. Cats, I mean, you can do it sitting on the floor with them in your lap. You can do it sitting on a chair with them in their lap and doing like yoga poses with your knee wrapped around your neck. Um, or have them on a table in front of you that you're either sitting at or standing at. Um, you know, and then all of your different contortion poses to hold them. Are you going to use a nice fluffy towel or some sleeves to help with kicking, grabbing, wiggling? Are you going to use an air muzzle, or we call it a half air muzzle, but it's the green
Mhm.
e-collar, you know, to help prevent, you know, you're going to get rid of your weapons of mass destruction, the nails and the teeth. And then once those are neutralized, then you can go into what other tools and techniques, you know, are you going to use to then safely do what the cat needs done. And you're going to evaluate the cat for, you know, its health risks of doing any one of those things and decide, yes, it's a candidate, no, it's not a candidate, based on, you know, your health knowledge, which dog groomers should have health knowledge, but it can definitely be done without much. You know, I'm sure that, you know, going back to your corporate starts and a lot of groomers corporate starts, you know, I'm sure that there is a training module on rec- Can you tell what environment I started in?
Yeah.
Corporate America, thank you. Um, so I'm sure there's a training module on recognizing some health problems, but I've recognized bloat in a dog that was on a groomer's table when the groomer didn't see it. And I was just the customer service rep coming in to find out when Fluffy number 2 was going to be done. And I'm like, that dog doesn't look healthy. You know, I had more health knowledge than, and it may have been a bather and not a, you know, and they're still standing there blow drying. And I'm like, yeah, no, you need to stop. um, you know, so in a professional cat education, there's a lot of time spent on handling techniques, you know, just as much, if not more time spent on handling techniques and health of the cat, um, and safety to the cat, uh, as there is on, you know, your clipper work and face scissoring, because that's about the only area that you use scissors. Unless you were started as a dog groomer, and if you're more comfortable with shears, that's great, but they are super sharp. And honestly, having touched sharpened dog shears at a dog groomer's salon, you know, just touching them and feeling how sharp they are and cutting myself on them, I cringe when I'm getting my own haircut now, because they're doing that thing where they scissor along the back of their fingers. And I'm like, oh my God, she's going to cut her skin off. Like, just, I'm not going to look. I can't face the mirror anymore because I know how sharp shears are. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'll take clippers. Thank you.
You know, and I think really the big difference between dog and cat grooming is that they are different species. Okay, different handling and different stressors. All right, they basically different behavioral cues, and they have different stressor cues, and you need to know what they are.
And honestly, my van is actually set up and modified. It's a Wagon Tails van, but it has been modified to just do cats. So even this, standard poodle that I'm doing for creative, the only place in my van that he really fits and can stand while I try and do creative on him is in the tub, because that's the only thing I didn't modify. There's no dog table in there that goes up and down. It's got a stainless steel table in there, more like at a vet clinic. On top of the second grooming station is my caddy shack, which I've also modified. So now it slides out so I can stick my knees under it. Because I like to sit. I sit while I do almost all my grooming other than bathing. But you know, sound is a big thing with cats, so that's another stressor. Cats stress out, fairly quickly with sound. So trying to do cats in a dog salon where you have dog sounds, you have large blowers, large dryers going, cage dryers. The corporate place I started at, it used to have 6 cage bank dryers that would sometimes, like, that each have the 3 hoses.
Yep.
That sometimes all 6 would be going in that room,
Yep.
along with 3 tubs that had like the circulating things, along with 3 tables with
Yep.
blower hoses that came down out of the ceilings. And I'm like, there's no way a cat would have appreciated that room at all.
I was mobile also, and I would hate to tell you how many cats that I groomed that were like banned from shops. And it's not that they were bad cats. They were just simply overwhelmed.
It's not the right environment.
Not the right environment. I think in my entire career, I've only had one cat that I recommended go to a shop because that cat would do better in a shop. And it's only because its turkey timer was like 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
You want me to sit in your driveway for 8 hours to groom your cat and pay me for 8 hours? That's going to get a little pricey. Sometimes a shop that
With a cage dryer option or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something that you can give this cat a break because he
Yeah.
wasn't tolerating it for very long. So where do you see yourself in the future? 5 years from now.
So my short-term goals, now that I am a creative cat grooming instructor, for NCGI, are to do more instructing, whether it's, one-on-one, or what I'm hoping to see over this next year would be to get some hands-on workshops scheduled. Hopefully where I can travel to some places to do those. If it's here in North Carolina, fine, but I would like to help others be able to, especially other cat groomers, but even dog groomers that also do cats, get into the ability to do creative on their cat clients as well. So, if I can do the States over this next year, if I can make it all the way to Australia, I have at least 10 people there interested, but it's kind of figuring out the logistics of getting there and getting it scheduled, and do they pay them and then they pay me? And so I got to figure out how that all works. I may have to take a workshop on making workshops. Wonder who offers one of those.
Just so you know, and we'll do a shameless plug right now, is in July, I am doing a workshop retreat in Squim, Washington. So
I'm from Washington, right?
no, where in Washington were you from?
I was born in Seattle.
Okay.
And I lived in Issaquah.
Okay.
Which only somebody from there would know how to say those names properly.
I get
or how to say
corrected.
Sammamish.
I get corrected all the time. I'm only here not quite 4 years. All right. So the first time, so I live in Squim. All right. But that's not how it's spelled. Okay. So the first time I said Sequim, because that's How is it's pronounced squim? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of Northwest names that you're like, there are way too many vowels and consonants in that word. Like, hold on, let me piece it together.
I know.
Sammamish, no, Snoqualmish. My mom worked up in north of Seattle. Nope, not gonna come up with it. I don't do words. But yeah, Bellevue, and there's a bunch of other really long word names there that
And
are so
there's
much
some of
fun.
them that have like 20 consonants and vowels, and it's 2 syllables.
Yeah, fun times. I would love to make it back to Washington. I have a friend out in Spokane that I'd love to see, and her horse, but her.
Butter horse.
I mean, she's got a really cool horse. So, but yeah, so I mean, if I can make it out, and in those trips, yes, get to do a little travel, but get to also train others and maybe meet up with, some people to do some, you know, train each other play days. I call them play dates. Like Aaron, if maybe in April I can happen to make it to California, why
Okay,
not?
why not?
Why not? So, some of that kind of stuff, travel. I would like to compete at least the 4 shows this year, although if I can get this groom to work on this dog, I may have the, you know, ability to go compete at other shows. But some of that competing may depend on getting sponsors to help pay for the trips, or coordinating workshops at the same time in the same place as the competitions, so that I can, kill 2 birds on one trip. So that's kind of my next my next year. Oh, and maybe if I can't get the workshops going quite as quickly as I want to, then I'll probably do a webinar series
Okay,
to at least build up some more interest, to then get the webinar or the hands-on workshops scheduled.
okay.
So
Erin's doing quite well with her webinar series.
I don't have the patience. I could probably figure out the knowledge behind doing some of the
Oh,
techie stuff.
she's
I don't have the patience for it.
she has a channel on my website. I handle all that stuff. She just has to show up to teach. Um,
Well, that's another thing I might have to get you to help me with.
so words of wisdom. Give me some advice.
Um, I mean, the things that I would recommend would be, if you're shaving down a cat and they're well behaved, practice doing a mohawk on them. You know, go ahead and slip in a little bit of practice there. You know, if you're already shaving them down anyway. Um, you know, some of the things that I try to do to be able to things I do to be able to do more creative, is feel out my clients. Get a feel for, like, are they more of the creative type? So I'm mobile, so I can sometimes get a glimpse into their life. Most of them are not going to sign up for it right away on my website. But if I can throw in a little hint of creative, for free, hey, I've got extra time today. Do you mind if I play, on their tail? Especially if they have kids. I mean, the kids are usually all in on, like, Mom, I want the one with the blue tail. I have pictures on the side of my van now. My new wrap
Good.
has my creative grooms on the side of it. Thank you, Angela, or Cindy. I don't even know now. Cindy Oliver, for having, I mean, from the first day I went to Atlanta Pet Fair and saw her van there, with her creatives cut out on the side of it. I was like, I'm going to have a van just like that. So my van now has my creative. It has some of my competition ones and some of my client ones that are a bit simpler. Doing a series of grooms where you can then, post it as, kind of alternative options. So if you can get a few clients in a row over a month's time to let you do 4 different clients, let you do 4 different dino clips, you now have that as a page in your book that's got options. But having pictures they can see, that they can look at, whether it's on your tablet that you can flip through while they're standing there watching you, if they're getting ready to pay. Oh, hey, did you go to my Facebook page recently? Have you seen my new post? Get a feel for, do they balk at it, or are they like, oh my God, that's so cute. My cat probably wouldn't let you do that. And I'm like, actually, your cat's a candidate. So don't be afraid to broach that topic with your clients. And don't be afraid to shamelessly plug yourself to your clients and be like, hey, don't forget to watch, my competition series on my Facebook page. Because in going to your Facebook page to see you post your competition, they may see you post, your client creatives as well. Awesome. Which is something, let them know, hey, your cat would be a candidate if you guys are ever interested.
Well, Patty, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here. I really appreciate it. So, everyone join us next week when I interview another woman making a difference in the pet industry.